The hill dwarves had sent me on my way, with a few rations. What a kind people. I made my way to a place where I felt less welcome. I found my way into the city of Bruto without issue. However, I did get looks from orcs, half-orcs, and humans. I guess they didn't see too many gnomes. We never venture into Ortally. We never venture anywhere, to be honest. You see, the orcs and gnomes have had a tenuous relationship, since the orcs have tried conquering us for years. There was a few attempts after the Tolerance Treaty, but our advanced technology always kept them at bay. I had to be careful. I didn't have my people's technology to protect me. I went to a restaurant. It was called the Most Fortuitous Cute, and I ordered food. Mm. The orcs were known for their savagery and warfare, but sadly, not known for the delicious cuisine. I had ordered something called spaghetti. It was one of the most wonderful things I've ever tasted. I had ordered a few more plates. I was satisfied till I got the bill. Since I had neglected to bring gold, I had to pay with service. And to make sure I paid my dues, they were kind enough to chain me to a post to keep me at, well, my post. The only positive was that I was working with a young half-orc named Mozzie. He was friendly, but down on his luck, which brought him into forced servitude like myself. I told him about my project, and as luck would have it, he had a tale for me.
Dom Primavera was traveling in his carriage with an entourage of court guards on armored direwolves. Don had collected his protection tax from his people. See, the Dons were nobles, in a sense. They ruled their turf from two worlds. The first world from their legitimate positions, the second world being the underworld of crime. So the protection they offered was from the other Dons and themselves. Bartholamelo was an orc in his middle years doing what he loved, washing windows. He loved his job more than his previous job. He used to be a butcher. He was good at it, but he grew tired and guilty. The cutting of the meat felt uncomfortable. The gore and blood felt disgusting on his skin, and the guilt of taking all those little lives. Yes, he liked this job better. As the carriage and its entourage passed on the street below, two young half-orcs watched it go by from an alley. Leo, the skinnier and shorter half-orc, clearly the brains of the two, which wasn't saying much, whispered to his associate. He didn't like using the word friend. Bruto, the larger, less intelligent half-orc.
Ready, Bruto?
Bruto nodded.
Yeah,
Bruto looked at his friend. Bruto liked the word friend. Curiously,
ready for what?
Leo rolled his eyes.
The mission, Bruto. The mission.
Oh, right.
Bartholomew walked into the tavern with a smile on his face.
I'm finished.
The old tavern keeper walked out of the kitchen with a smile.
Bartholamelo, I forgot you were here.
Bartholomew shrugged with a smile.
I am thorough. It takes a while.
Leo and Bruto ran, Bruto carrying large sacks of coins, as orc guards chased them on their armored direwolves.
20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25.
Bartholomew smiled and nodded.
Thank you for your patronage.
The old tavern keeper shook his head and chuckled.
My boy, I should be thanking you. You keep my windows so shiny and beautiful. And for such a low price.
Bartholomew shrugged.
Do not fret over such a thing, sir. I enjoy it.
I must pay you more.
Bartholomew shook his head and waved off the old tavern keeper.
No need for that. Happy to do it.
You should at least have a drink with me.
That sounds fine.
Leo and Bruto continued running from the guards. Leo noticed Bruto lagging behind.
You keep up.
I'm carrying all the loot.
No excuses. Run fast.
Bartholomew and the old tavern keeper clinked their mugs together and guzzled the drinks. Both men watched the two half-orcs, a big one carrying a few sacks, ran by, followed by armored orc guards and armored direwolves. The two orc men looked at each other in confusion.
What was that about?
Bartholomew shrugged. Both orc men went back to their drinks. Leo and Bruto managed to duck into an alley, pressed themselves up against a wall as they breathed heavily. Watched as the orc guards ran past. Both half-orcs breathed sighs of relief. Leo and Bruto made their way to the meeting point, a restaurant known as Pasta Paradise, which was a front for Don Fetticini's other business ventures. He had hired Leo and Bruto to acquire from Don Primavera's tax collection. They stood outside as Leo briefed his associate.
All right. When we get in there, here's what I want you to say.
Leo signaled for Bruto to move closer. Bruto did so.
Nothing.
Bruto gave Leo a confused look.
Do you want me to say the word nothing, or?
No. I don't want you to talk at all. Got it?
Bruto nodded. Leo smirked.
Good.
Leo and Bruto entered the restaurant where people enjoyed their meals. Leo looked around. There were a few restaurant patrons looking at him and Bruto. Leo knew they were guards in disguise protecting the Don. Leo nudged Bruto.
Remember, I do the talking.
Bruto stared at Leo.
You understand?
Bruto nodded.
Yeah, you said you do all the talking. That's why I didn't say nothing.
Leo rolled his eyes and proceeded to the kitchen, pulling Bruto along. Leo and Bruto walked into the kitchen, where Don Fetticini was chopping vegetables. The Don looked up and smiled at the two half-orcs.
So, my boys, I take it you made the withdrawal.
He smiled nervously.
Yes, sir. Went off without a hitch.
Bruto stifled a squeak. Leo glared at Bruto. But the Don heard the squeak and became curious. He looked towards Bruto.
Did it go without a hitch?
Bruto looked towards Leo and continued to glare daggers at him.
How did it go?
I mean, the guards might have seen us.
The Don's face was very serious. Leo did his best to save himself.
But we did get away.
Were you followed?
Leo and Bruto looked away from the Don, who was getting nervous.
Were you followed?
Leo was about to answer when they heard someone screaming. Leo, Bruto, and the Don ran into the dining area to find a patron guard dead on the floor, while the other patrons screamed in panic. Don glared at the two half-orcs in fury.
You idiots! You...
An arrow crashed through the window. It embedded itself into the chest of another patron guard. The patron guard fell to the floor dead, causing more panic amongst the real patrons. Bartholomew had shared a drink with the old tavern keeper. He actually shared a few drinks with the old orc, and staggered home. The Don, Leo, and Bruto hid under a table as arrows rained down on the restaurant. The Don glared at the two half-orcs.
Get out!
Leo and Bruto looked around in fear.
But they'll kill us if we run.
I'll kill you if you stay. Get out!
Leo and Bruto ran through the city. Leo and Bruto managed to hide in an alley and catch their breath.
Oh, did they find us?
They must be cleanest.
Bruto looked to Leo curiously.
Cleanest?
Yeah. You never heard of cleaners?
Bruto shook his head. Leo rolled his eyes.
That's right. You've never heard of anything. Cleaners are assassins that clean up messes.
What kind of messes?
Leo sneered.
Messes like us.
Oh,
Bruto scratched his head.
so what should we do?
Leo rubbed his chin as he thought. He smiled as a plan came to him.
I've got it. We'll hire our own cleaner.
How will we pay them?
An arrow flew through the air and struck the wall next to Leo's head. Leo started running.
Run and talk. Run and talk.
Both half-orcs ran off. Bartholomew walked down a street, whistling to himself. When he found something.
What's this?
Bartholomew grabbed the flyer and tore it from the wall. Bartholomew looked at the flyer that read, "Cleaner needed. Must do windows." Bartholomew smiled.
Oh, good, an opportunity.
Bruto and Leo hammered posters to walls. Bruto looked at Leo with concern.
Hey, Leo.
Leo was shocked by his associate and hit his thumb.
Ow!
Leo put his thumb in his mouth and glared at Bruto angrily.
What?
What if we get actual cleaners?
What are you, stupid?
Bruto stared at Leo. Leo shook his head as he answered his own question.
Come on, listen. We're dealing with professionals here. They can read between the lines.
Bruto looked at the poster and back to Leo.
But there are no lines, just words.
Leo shook his head.
Let's just finish hanging the posters.
An arrow flew through the air and hit the wall next to Leo's head.
Damn it, still?
Leo grabbed Bruto's hand and started dragging him away.
Let's get out of here.
Bartholomew dressed in his finest clothes. His father had always told him that employers respected a well-dressed orc. It's how he got work as a butcher. It's how he would get work as a cleaner. Leo and Bruto made their way back to headquarters, an abandoned cafe in the middle of the city, and caught their breath. Bruto had a thought, rare occurrence.
Say, Leo.
Leo glared at his friend, expecting the inevitable dumb question.
What?
Isn't hiding out in an abandoned cafe suspicious?
Leo rolled his eyes.
This is why I do the thinking.
Leo took a moment to compose himself and continued to speak.
I've told you, we're dealing with professionals. They'll figure it out.
Bartholomew stood before the abandoned cafe with his bucket and rags, looking at it curiously.
This place looks suspicious.
Bartholomew shrugged.
Gold is gold.
Leo and Bruto were still getting their composure in what used to be the kitchen when they heard knocking. Bruto was scared.
Who's that?
Leo glared at Bruto. Realization came to the non-thinker.
Oh, right.
The door opened and Bartholomew was greeted by two half-orcs with suspicious smiles on their faces.
Hello there.
Bartholomew waved nervously and weakly.
Hello?
Bartholomew sat across from the two half-orcs who stared at him intently.
So, how long have you been,
Leo winked at Bartholomew, rather furiously.
cleaning?
Bruto looked at Leo curiously.
Is there something wrong with your eye?
Leo flashed an angry glare at Bruto.
Shut up.
Leo looked back at Bartholomew and smiled, uncomfortably. Bartholomew, feeling very awkward, answered his own uncomfortable smile.
I've been cleaning for 3 years now.
Leo looked curious.
3 years? That's not very long.
Bartholomew shrugged.
I used to have a different job, but this is my passion.
Your passion?
Bartholomew nodded and smiled.
Yes, I come highly recommended.
Leo nodded as he did his best to study his potential employee using a skill he did not possess.
Excuse me, Mr.
Bartholamelo.
Leo forced a smile.
Bartholamelo. Could you excuse us, Bartholamelo?
Bartholomew shrugged nervously.
Sure.
Thanks.
Leo pushed Bruto toward the kitchen.
Come on, we need to discuss.
Leo whispered to Bruto.
I think this is the guy.
But,
He really seems to know what he's talking about.
but,
Sure, wipe out those other cleaners.
but.
Yeah?
Leo clapped Bruto on the shoulder.
Good luck.
Bruto watched Leo walk off in confusion.
But.
Bartholomew looked around the rundown cafe. He saw cobwebs and layers of dust.
They better pay me a lot for this.
Thanks for waiting.
The smaller half-orc walked towards Bartholomew with a big smile on his face.
I got good news. You're hired.
Bartholomew beamed with excitement.
Really?
Bartholomew jumped up with his bucket.
I'll get started right away.
Bartholomew looked around.
I'll start with this room.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Not here.
Bartholomew was taken aback.
Not here?
Bartholomew looked around again at the disheveled cafe.
Are you sure?
Of course not. There's nobody here.
Bartholomew looked at his employer, confused.
I don't usually have an audience.
Leo burst into laughter.
This guy is jokes. I love it.
Leo waved as Bartholamelo walked away.
And good luck.
Bartholamelo waved back uncomfortably and confused.
Thank you.
Leo met back with Bruto in the kitchen, dusting off his hands.
I've sent our cleaner after our, well, cleaners.
Bruto scratched his head in confusion.
Are you sure that guy was a cleaner?
Of course I am. He was dressed up real nice. Those folks always dress nice.
I thought he was just dressed nice for a job interview.
Leo started to worry.
I'm sure it's because he's a professional.
He and the weapons.
Maybe he has weapon caches around the city.
He had a bucket.
He...
A horrifying realization came to Leo.
Oh God, we sent the window washer to his death.
Leo and Bruto ran across the city. Leo and Bruto made their way to the Tusk Temptation restaurant, where Don various businesses made fighting from inside, which filled Leo with more terror.
Oh no! Oh no!
Leo and Bruto ran into the restaurant. Leo and Bruto burst through the door to find a grisly scene.
Oh my God!
Bruto looked in over Leo's shoulder. He was just as horrified as his friend.
Oh my God.
The two half-orcs looked at a restaurant covered in blood and gore. Orc bodies littered the ground. Bartholamelo stood amongst the carnage, covered in blood, with a sword and axe in his hands. He breathed heavily with rage, as his attention was brought to his employers.
What is this?
Leo tried to explain, but his fear robbed him of his speech. Bartholamelo used to be a butcher. He was good at it, but he grew tired and guilty of all the people he killed. The cutting of the meat felt uncomfortable as he dismembered his targets and disposed of them in local rivers and lakes or unmarked graves. The gore and blood felt disgusting on his skin, and the guilt of taking all those little lives forced him to retire. Retire so long as he was unaware the term butcher had been changed to cleaner. He was done killing people, although he did make the exception of the two lying half-orcs who he chased through the city.
I'll kill you.
The two half-orcs ran for their lives. Leo shouted over his shoulder.
This was a terrible misunderstanding.
Bruto also shouted over his shoulder.
Yeah, he thought he was a ruthless killer, not a lowly window washer.
Leo flashed an angry glare at Bruto.
Shut up, Bruto.
The two half-orcs continued to run for their lives as Bartholamelo ran for their lives.
I had managed to write down my coworker's story between washing the dishes. It was a wonderful tale, though I could not figure out a way to escape my employment. It was night, and I was sleeping in my quarters, a shed I shared with my coworkers, when Mosey woke me up. He said he found an escape for us. Marzi and I made our way through the Italian wilderness. Marzi led me to the age of Franks and beans, the country of elves. He said he was going to go back because he had nothing better to do, so I bid him good luck as I continued my journey.